Welcome back to our channel where we provide updates and undisclosed narratives on Catherine, Princess of Wales and her royal family. We provide you with the exciting news Prince William's shocked reaction against Camilla after she forces Prince Louis to call her granny. An intimate source said that Prince William was angry because Camilla had Louis call her granny. This led to a royal war over Diana's legacy. Queen Camilla's statements to the youngsters in Wales make everyone in the royal family tense because of how she treats them. In this video, we'll find out what Prince William did to Queen Camilla when she tried to have his kids, especially Prince Louis, call her granny, and what happened behind the Windsor door. A fresh and very personal conflict has broken out among the House of Windsor in the Golden Halls of Windsor and the Sacred Halls of Buckingham Palace. A fight not for the crown, but over the simple yet very important title of Granny. An apparently benign invitation from Queen Consort Camilla to 7-year-old Prince Louis has set off a firestorm of anger from Prince William and a steely protective determination from Catherine, the Princess of Wales. People who work at the palace say that Prince William is incandescent with rage, because he thinks his stepmother is trying to take his mother's place in the hearts of his 3 children and push the Middleton grandparents out of the picture. The lines have been set with Camilla's strategic ambition going up against William and Kate's strong defense of their family and Diana's legacy. A source close to the Prince and Princess of Wales said, "This is not a petty fight over a name. This is about the family's very soul." William thinks this is a planned effort to change history and get rid of the mom who should have been there to watch her grandkids grow. For him, there is just one Granny Diana, while for his kids there is Granny Carol, Middleton. He thinks Camilla is crossing a holy line, and he won't let it happen. The fight, which has been going on for a while now behind polite smiles and planned public appearances, has now turned into direct confrontations, planned media moves, and a desperate fight for the love of the 3 kids, whose loyalty could change how people see the monarchy for generations to come. It's not only a title at risk, it's the story of the past and the emotional structure of the future kingdom. The spark in the powder keg. A planned request at Windsor Castle's beautiful chandeliers illuminated the way for the first shots in this secret conflict. The soft summer sun had just set on a grand royal procession. The air was still vibrating with the enthusiasm of the spectators and the smell of roses from the royal gardens. The royal dinner hall was full of sumptuous magnificence. The crystal gleamed, and the delicate clink of wine glasses made a sound that went along with the quiet chats and courteous smiles that frequently hide secret plans in the royal court. Queen Consort Camilla walked through the busy throng with practiced ease. Her emerald green robe made her seem even more royal. She stopped next to Prince Louis, the youngest of the Wales children. His golden hair and innocent grin made everyone smile as he played with the emblem on his chest. Camilla leaned down so that her face was near to his, and others claimed her eyes shone with a calculated warmth. She whispered in a voice as sweet as honey, but with a clear sense of authority, "Lou, from now on, call me Granny." She smiled and stroked his hair. She said, "Like Freddie and Gus do," referring to her biological grandkids from her previous marriage. "Louis, I'm your grandma, aren't I?" The little prince was too innocent to understand the complicated feelings behind her words. He smiled and said, "Granny." His little voice rang across the hall with joy, catching the attention of neighboring people. To those who didn't know what was going on, the event appeared heartwarming, a queen consort getting to know her step-grandson. But for those who knew, it was the sound of a time bomb ticking. Prince George, Louis's elder brother, quickly looked at their father with a worried look. A visitor who saw the interaction said that the future king's eyes showed uncertainty and discomfort, as if he were attempting to put a piece that didn't fit into the family jigsaw he had been taught. He instantly grabbed the hand of his sister, Princess Charlotte, who was standing still next to him. Charlotte, who was renowned for her sparkling eyes and strong will, pursed her lips and swallowed a wave of what seemed like deep uneasiness. Sources indicate that she remembers her parents telling her tales of her paternal grandmother Diana very well, and the name Granny seemed like an intrusion on those precious memories. Prince William, who had been talking to King Charles about diplomatic arrangements, suddenly stopped talking across the room. A person standing close said, "It was like a switch flipped." The warmth left his face. A cold raced down his spine as an impulse to defend himself kicked in. His eyes became steely and icy as they fixed on Camilla. His pulse raced as a hazy fury and a deep sinking sensation of dread grew within him. He knew Camilla. She never did anything without thinking. There was a reason for every word and every move. He clenched his hand under the table and tried to keep his cool, but within a seed of angry mistrust had been sown ready to grow into a storm. The Princess of Wales stood calmly amid a group of noblewomen across the room, holding a glass of water that was shaking slightly. She had seen everything: Camilla's sweet grin, Louis's innocent look, George's worried look, and William's strained face. Kate's instincts as a mother are quite strong, and this moment made her feel uneasy in a way she couldn't describe. A close friend of the princess subsequently said, "Kate saw it for what it was. It wasn't only a way to get closer to Louis. It was the first block of a bigger building project that she hadn't yet figured out." Kate's pulse raced with a sensation of dread as she gripped her glass and her fingers became white. For a brief period, she looked into William's eyes and made a silent promise. No matter what it took, they would keep their kids safe. The party went on, but there was an unseen fissure under the surface that threatened the House of Windsor's delicate union. The architect of ambition, making the national grandmother Queen Camilla, was already at work in the early morning fog that covered the tall windows of Buckingham Palace. She sat in a green velvet chair in her private study with her back straight and her keen eyes perusing a pile of papers on her polished mahogany desk. In front of her was her trusty media team, whose faces she picked not just for their brilliance, but also for their commitment. Camilla knew that what happened at Windsor was more than just a little win. It was the first step in a bigger strategy to win over the royal children and, by consequence, the British people. She wanted George, Charlotte, and Louis to perceive her as a real grandmother, not just the king's wife, in order to make sure her legacy would endure. But the way was full of problems. Carol and Michael Middleton had constructed an unbreakable fortress of love in the hearts of their 3 kids. It was filled with bright summers at Anmer Hall, bedtime tales by the fire, and loving hugs that didn't follow royal rules. Camilla wanted that real, effortless intimacy, and not having it made her quite jealous. She took a deep breath, and her voice boomed out low but cold with authority. "I want a new media campaign. The story is the national grandmother. I want pictures of myself with my 3 biological grandkids, Freddie and Gus, and William's 3 children. We need moments that are warm and real. We will make people recognize that I am an important component of their life." The head of communications, a lady in her 40s with piercing eyes, nodded and wrote down a lot of things. "We'll set up a charity event, Your Majesty. The Kensington Public Library would be a great place for a reading session for kids. We will invite reporters and make sure that the best pictures of you with the princes and princesses are taken. The headlines will focus on how you are a kind and accessible grandma." Camilla nodded slightly and smiled with satisfaction. "Okay. I also want an exclusive interview. I want to talk about how much I adore all of my grandkids, about how all of their grandparents should show them love and care. Make it sincere yet strong enough to change people's minds. Camilla's plan came together with terrifying accuracy in only a few days. It was a beautiful day when the Kensington Library event took place. Camilla wore a modest but lovely cream silk dress, and her hair was well done. Her eyes shone with the warmth of a perfect grandma. She sat with a bunch of kids around her, including George, Charlotte, and Louis, who were all next to her own grandkids. Her voice was warm and steady as she read a fairy tale out loud. She was a pro at performing. She smiled at Charlotte, ruffled Louis's hair, and gave George a book with a look that said, "You can do it." The reporters were in the right places at the right times to catch every event, and their camera flashes made the sight unforgettable. The following morning, major newspapers had carefully altered pictures on their front pages. The granny of our heirs, Camilla's warm bond with the young royals, was all over the news. After that, Royal Life magazine published an exclusive interview with Camilla in which she seemed to be honest. She was cited as stating, "Children need love from all their grandparents." I feel lucky to be a part of George, Charlotte, and Louis's lives as well as my own grandchildren's. I just want to give them love and advice since they are the future of the monarchy. The term Granny Camilla started to show up in pro-royal media and spread to social media postings that were liked and shared by hundreds of people. Camilla sat alone in her own room at Clarence House going over the articles. She ran her fingertips over the words Granny Camilla like they were a prize. She smiled a little, but deep inside she still felt uneasy. She realized that real love couldn't be made with a pen and camera flashes. William and Kate stood behind the kids, ready to protect Diana's legacy at all costs. Kate put a newspaper on the breakfast table at Anmer Hall, ruining the quiet morning. The headline seemed like a declaration of war when they saw it. William, who was sitting across from him, read the paper, and his eyes darkened, and his jaw tightened. "She's trying to change the past," he replied, his voice quiet but full of anger. Kate nodded, and her hold on her teacup became stronger. "We won't let this go on, William," she said, her voice calm but full of determination. "This is not just a media campaign. Our kids need the truth, and we will protect them." William and Kate were getting ready to strike back in the battle for their children's affections. The confrontation. A fight of wills at Kensington Palace. The family conference room at Kensington Palace, which is typically a quiet place to talk, was full of suspense since a storm was coming. William had asked for the meeting, and there was a lot of tension in the room. He sat at the end of the long wood table, his shoulders stiff and his eyes fixed on Camilla. William's voice was low but pierced through the quiet when he said, "You're using the media to rewrite your role in this family. Do you really believe that a few staged images and well-chosen headlines can alter the truth my kids know who their grandma is? The appellation Granny does not belong to you." His statements broke the room's delicate peace. Camilla, who was sitting across from me, kept her cool, although I could see a hint of defensiveness in her eyes. "The truth, William, lies in how the kids feel," she said, her voice calm but full of indignation. "I haven't made them call me anything. All I want is for them to think of me as family. It is their choice to call me that." "Is it their choice?" William's voice became louder, and the carefully contained rage started to show. "You put Louis on the spot in front of a lot of people. You set up a public relations effort to make yourself known as Granny Camilla. This isn't the affection of a grandma. It's a planned attack to win my children's hearts and change how others see you in public." Kate, who was sitting next to William, couldn't keep quiet any longer. She put a hand on his arm to show support, but her eyes were cold on Camilla. Kate remarked, "You are manipulating the children's feelings when you make this image on purpose." Her voice was calm but harsh. "The pictures, the stories, and the word Granny Camilla are all part of a scheme. You can't change what is precious to our family. That includes remembering Diana and the very real, very present affection our kids have for their grandparents, the Middletons." Kate's remarks hit home. Camilla put her lips together and her nice grin faded. She said, "I only want what's best for the kids," her voice now showing signs of anger. "People need to witness a royal family that is cohesive. Kate, I'm not attempting to take anyone's position." William leaned closer and said, "Your actions say otherwise. You want to take my mother's place, and it will never ever happen." There was a deep, unsettled stillness after the fight. Camilla was the first to get up. Her dress rustled as she exited the room, giving a courteous nod that didn't reach her eyes. William and Kate stayed, and their eyes met in a way that said everything. The conflict was now out in the open. The counter-strike, a lesson on love and legacy. William and Kate brought their kids to the fireplace at Anmer Hall, their tranquil getaway in Norfolk that night. The fight with Camilla wasn't only about titles, it was also about protecting the memories and ideals they intended to carry on. "Kids, we need to talk about our family," William said in a kind but serious voice. "You have a grandfather, King Charles. You also have a grandma named Princess Diana, who is in paradise, but will always be in our hearts. Your grandparents on Mummy's side are Granny Carol and Grandpa Michael. They adore you very much. And Queen Camilla," he said, taking his time to choose his words carefully, "is Grandpa Charles's wife. You will always be kind to her since she is part of the family, but the moniker Granny is just for very, very special individuals." Charlotte, always observant, cocked her head. "But she told Louis to call her Granny at the party," she stated in a gentle voice. Kate knelt down and spoke softly. "She could want that, sweetheart. But grandparents' love isn't about names, it's about genuine times. Do you remember when Grandma Carol made cookies with you, or the tales Grandpa Michael told about his adventures in the garden? That's love for genuine. It's not anything that was planned or pushed for the cameras." Louis looked up from his toy car and questioned, "So I don't have to call her Granny anymore?" William grinned and messed up his son's hair. "Not Lou. You call her Queen Camilla out of respect. Granny is for Grandma Carol. And Grandma Diana is always with us in our hearts." George, who was silent but paying attention, eventually said, "I get it, Daddy. I won't call her Granny." His simple words showed that he was faithful, but words weren't enough. William and Kate came up with a clever but strong counterattack, a ceremony in Kensington Palace's sunken garden, where Diana's monument lies to honor her memory. They asked organizations that Diana had supported to come, and they made sure that Carol and Michael Middleton were front and center. Camilla didn't get an invitation. It was a public statement that their kids' hearts and the title of Granny were with someone else. The event went off without a hitch. William spoke about his mother with a lot of feeling, saying that family isn't built on titles but on love and sacrifice. After that, George and Charlotte went forward, ready by their parents. George remarked clearly, "Grandma Diana left us a world full of love. I want to do things that make her proud when I grow up." Charlotte said, "We have Grandma Carol and Grandpa Michael who tell us all about her. They are the family we love." Camilla's campaign was dealt a huge blow by the children's honest statements, which were heard all throughout the country. The following day, there were stories about Diana's enduring love, and pictures of the Wales kids with the Middletons went viral on social media. The press stopped using the term Granny Camilla. Camilla watched the news in her own room, her face stiff. It wasn't simply a mistake that she wasn't there. It was a public censure. Anger sprang up, mixed with the bitter understanding that even though she was powerful, she couldn't gain the kids' love. The last move and a public rejection. Camilla, who was embarrassed but not vanquished, made one final desperate attempt. She sent back a draft proposal to make royal etiquette official. It said that all royal grandchildren should call the queen consort Granny by default. She said if Charles agrees, the public will have to follow. But before she could push the matter, the ideal chance came up Prince George's 10th birthday celebration at Kensington Palace. Camilla thought it was her opportunity to win in public. She came with a fancy present, a hand-engraved watch, and a few carefully chosen reporters who were there to catch the event. She walked up to George with a big grin on her face. She murmured, "Happy birthday, dear George," as she gave him the present. "I got this for you. I hope you like it." George took the box with a courteous but distant grin, showing that he was older than his years. He bowed a little, and his voice was clear and calm as it echoed over the well-kept grass. "Thank you, Queen Camilla." No granny, no warmth, just a big gap of polite space covered in royal rules. Camilla's grin stopped. The reporters didn't get a touching moment. They got a picture of the queen consort standing uncomfortably, her pricey present useless. The following day's headlines were harsh. "Queen Camilla keeps her distance from the heirs." Days later, the last fight happened. Camilla told King Charles about her plan for the protocol. "We need clarity, Charles," she said. "It's for the unity of the monarchy." William came into the room before he could answer. His presence was like a hurricane. "Camilla, stop this," he pleaded in a quiet, lost voice. "Your ambition has gone too far. My kids can't be made to adore you or call you Granny just because you sent them a note. If you push this, you won't be able to have a connection with them at all. You can't win their love with power or rules." Camilla turned to Charles for help, but the king, tired and stuck between his wife and son, glanced down. He added gently but firmly, "William is right, Camilla. We can't build a family with orders." It was the last straw. Camilla exited the room without saying a word, feeling the weight of her loss on her shoulders. She had won the crown, but she had lost the battle for the kids' hearts. She looked at herself in the mirror at Clarence House. She was a strong queen, yet she was completely alone in her triumph. The monarchy has returned to a false sense of normalcy, but the effects of this battle are still felt. William and Kate gaze over their sleeping kids at Anmer Hall. They realize that this struggle was won not with force, but with the lasting strength of a mother's memories and the real warmth of a loving family. The battle for the monarchy's heart may not be finished, but for now the legacy of the people's princess is safe with her sons and their offspring. Thank you for watching the video. Please let us know your thoughts, and goodbye for now.